hello everybody. I am so excited to get this session started. For those who are watching on the live stream, this is going to be an exciting event, so I hope you are caffeinated and ready to go because we're going to get jumping right in. This is a very non-traditional way of approaching the issues that we're going to be talking about. So I just want to set some expectations right off the bat. If you think you're going to come and just sit on your computer, check your emails, or do like my students do and just sit on their phones on social media the whole time, you're in the wrong room. This session is going to require your active participation, your active engagement. We're taking a few minutes at the beginning, and we're going to hear from some voices that are really important in this work, and it's going to help us think more critically about the activities that we're going to do in the second half of this session. Is that clear? Can I get some? Oh, so much love. Thank you. You guys are amazing. This is going to be super cool. We're going to first turn to my colleague, Chad. Chad is from Google, and it's a real honor and pleasure to have him here. And I believe he has some presentation slides, so they'll be queued up hopefully soon. Yes, I got a thumbs up. Awesome. Chad, I'll turn it over to you. You can introduce yourself and the amazing work that Google's doing in this space.
Wonderful. I would love to stand and be engaging, but I don't think my voice is loud enough to carry over. Can folks hear me if I speak like this? Yes? Okay, wonderful. So again, my name's Chad Baranik. I'm a program manager at Google, and I work in user experience. What does user experience at Google mean? When people ask me what my job is, it's making products easier to use. Specifically, the reason that we're really excited to be here today is we're really focused in making our products inclusive. So we're focused not only on accessibility, but all aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we've really been enjoying not only this conference, but our partnerships with Enable India that have brought us here today. So again, Google's committed to creating the most diverse set of products that really serve all populations. Historically, if we go back to, let's say, the dawn of the internet, it's in, majorly represented populations. And what we're learning is we've gone quite far in building technology, but does that technology really work for everyone? And is it inclusive? And how do we go about doing that? And I've just got to say, this conference alone has left myself and my colleagues with many, many inspiring ideas on how we can continue to scale, work with organizations, people like you, to continue on our path to making our products more useful and accessible at a global scale. So in that, we look beyond just research and accessibility. So while we're here partnering with ZeroCon and Enable India, we also are driving partnerships with organizations like educational institutions, nonprofits that serve underrepresented communities. We're also looking at different countries of focus, emerging markets, lots of topics that you may have heard about today or throughout the conference this week, which is why we are very, very excited again to be here and participate in this hackathon. And lastly, we believe that everyone here is the most critical part about making our products more inclusive. We can't do this alone, and our goal is not to build for communities, it's to build with communities. Everyone here in this room is an expert in accessibility, and what we're really hoping to do is scale all of the different types of tactics beyond just research. How can we have more conversations? How can we promote the work that folks in this room are doing or what Google is doing to make technology applicable, easy to use, accessible, and to have all voices be heard? So with that being said, I just wanted to say thank you for having Google here. We are very excited to participate not only in this hackathon, but in ZeroCon as well, and to continue our partnerships. If anybody here is part of an organization that would like to join us, you can visit g.co/user-research/advocate. And we would love to start partnering with you and your organizations to learn how we can get more and more voices heard as we develop our products. So thank you again. Very happy to be here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chad. And it is really a privilege to have Google represented here because you guys are leading so much development in the tech space holistically, but especially in the diversity and inclusion space. And I think it's really important that you get a chance to see the people who are your bread and butter, the people who matter most to the work that you're doing. And so I'm inspired to hear your words, and I'm inspired to know that Google is taking this, taking the mantle on and taking it so seriously. The web address again was
It's g.co/user-research/advocate. Dan, am I?
We have some cards we can hand out after as well.
Yes, we have individual cards for everybody in this room
Great.
as well that we can hand out as well.
And for those, go ahead.
Oh, and if you just want to learn more about how we develop products inclusively, google.com/user-research.
Amazing. So for those listening to the live stream, that's g.co/user-research/advocate.
Yes.
Correct? Nice. All right, great. This is an exciting start to the day. I'm really, really thrilled. Next, I'd like to welcome and to introduce our distinguished guest, Matthijs. Matthijs, could you tell us a little bit about your work and why you do it?
Yes, good morning. I'm working for two organizations. My name is Matthijs Nederveen. I'm working for Light for the World as innovation advisor, and I'm also working for Enable Me as the global incubation manager. Now with Light for the World, I have experience with setting up and facilitating social inclusion labs. And we started this because Light for the World is an organization that supports and promotes disability inclusion in developing countries. And traditionally we were supporting projects for people with disabilities, but then we realized that our impact was very limited if we were not working with mainstream actors, and if we were not passing on our knowledge on disability and disability inclusion to those mainstream players, governments, non-profit organizations, companies. So we set up training and advisory services on disability mainstreaming to help companies and organizations to make their products and services and programs better accessible for persons with disabilities. But when we decided to do so, we were confronted with big challenges, and we didn't have solutions for that. Because for instance, we were focusing on access to employment, and there were so many big challenges, and we didn't have the answers. So we realized that we needed another approach. And the approach was not starting with our solutions to bring to the world, but starting with the challenges, bringing the different players together in what we called a lab, including representatives from the target group, so including potential users, people with disabilities, bringing them together, analyze the problems together, and then co-create solutions. So we set up different labs, one focusing on access to vocational training, one focusing on micro-entrepreneurs with a disability, that was in Kenya, one focusing on inclusive agriculture. My colleague is here in the room from Cambodia. Hi, David. And other labs also on inclusive employment. And together with the players in those countries and the users, we co-created new solutions. And the lab is meant for longer term processes. So not only like one design sprint, but collaboration in a more sustainable way and long term, because it needs these are big challenges and needs searching together, experimenting, testing, also making failures and trying again. So I can tell a little bit more later also in this session about our experience with the labs. And then with Enable Me, we are setting up this online global community of and for people with disabilities. And that's for sharing information, sharing knowledge. And the idea is, together with Enable India, is also to bring people together for co-creation of solutions, also beyond country borders. also with and so co-creation with the users or between users. Thank you.
I love it. It's absolutely a beautiful way of approaching this co-creation, co-innovation, co-design kind of work. And what you said about not having a playbook at the beginning and how much of a challenge that is to kind of invent a new system for doing this is the exact issue that we want to tackle today and with activities that we're going to do later on in the session. It's important for us to think about this from a framework of we're on the cutting edge. What we're going to do in today's session is going to break new ground in how we innovate, how we co-create, and how we co-design. So thank you so much, Matthijs. That was really well put, and I'm absolutely in love with your work. It's phenomenal. Last but certainly not least, Den, I'd like to hear from you and about all the amazing work that you guys are doing at Enabling India.
Hi, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon in India and Asia, and early good morning in USA and other parts. So, yeah, Enable India works for economic empowerment and dignity for persons with disability. So for last 22 years, we have placed more than 60,000 people directly in various places of corporates. We have also have our own rural livelihood team, which works for enhancing employability options for rural part and where disability has the most kind of value. And also we have realized that we need to find solutions to provide appropriate support for persons with disabilities in the work arena of work. So in the vertical that I work, EI Labs, from the name you can understand, we try to find out answers. But the tagline of EI Labs is catalyzing the community for assistive solutions. So you can well understand that catalyzing the community is coming first, then assistive solutions, because we always try to keep the person and the problem in the center and co-create the solutions which are required, not only tech-based solutions, but also solutions for daily life. For example, I personally use more than 30 solutions per day, which helps me to get empowered because I have all kinds of disability, multiple disability. I belong to a multiple disability background, including dyslexia, which is an invisible disability, very difficult to deal with. And second layer, I would like to come to our project called Project Discovery, where we crowdsource assistive solutions from the grassroots. Because we realized that there are huge amount of solutions available already in the grassroots. If we can collect them in a video format, it would not only help the people in India, but also it would help the people around the world. And there, our partnership with both the organizations like Google, Enable Me, and other global organizations is very important, because developing a world synergy to identify co-creating solutions which can be multidimensional, multicultural, multi-valid, in multifaceted way is absolutely paramount of importance. And for that, if we reverse the thing, that we create the solution, then we go to the people, rather than that we see the solution that people are creating, then we create that by fine-tuning that, will have its own value in the market. Yesterday, in the same room, I was telling about 2 billion people are there in the sector. And targeting those 2 billion people, we can really make the economy of the world grow to the next level where people can really contribute. And to contribute, if we provide the opportunity of identifying solutions, then co-creation would become easy. That is the work that we do and we try to take forward in pan-disability way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And the work that you guys are doing at Enabling India and the Discovery Project is advancing every step of the way. And I think that's the future, really. That's the future. And I said that you were last but not least, and I made a mistake because we have an amazing human being online. Takumu from the Israeli Embassy in Japan is going to tell us about the awesome work that they're doing there. So Takumu, the floor is yours.
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
Hi, good morning from Japan. I'm Takumu Hattori of Assistive Design Lab, the top winning team of the Impossible Disability Hackathon in 2021. The Impossible was the international online hackathon in collaboration with the Embassy of Israel in Japan and the Nippon Foundation. With solutions to overcome this daily challenge, this hackathon aimed to empower the people with a disability to become impossible. Next, please. Please, next. Okay. The organizers made the entire hackathon informative, inclusive, and accessible as much as possible. Team building went matching communication accessibility, and attentive care were critical for the success of the hackathon. Next, please. Next slide, please. We are Assistive Design Lab is composed of disability rehabilitation engineers and active users with limb disabilities. We are developing and providing assistive device under the slogan, "It's not taboo." So please, next slide. We developed the EMG switch named Tempora. It can operate any device with the EMG temporal potential. So the EMG potential of temporal muscles. First, when you bite down on your back teeth, electrical potential is generated in the temporal muscle. Second, check if the potential of the temporal muscle is above the threshold. If the EMG potential exceeds the threshold, the circuit is switched on. It can be connected and controlled by a variety of devices. Please, next slide, please. See the video of its use. Please, video. It's on the video. Please, on the theater.
Can be operated without strain from paralysis. I was able to input text. I was able to use the computer freely. I can search the internet, play games, and so on. The fun of playing games helped me relieve stress. Once I was comfortable with the operation, I exhibited at an accessibility trade show. How do you operate it? You're not moving your limbs, but is this the game you're playing? Seriously, I can't believe it. I was happy to be able to move on my own. I've been through a lot of trial and error. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't do it. Boring days when I could do nothing. The myoelectric switch turned my days into days of happiness. I can do it myself. When I can do it all by myself, I am motivated to try everything by myself. When I get better at driving, I would like to go for a drive in my own car. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
Can be operated without strain from.
The author of this video is Kim in this video. He typed the text, edited the video, and uploaded it to YouTube. The video is short, 10 minutes long. I have shortened the video to about 2 minutes. Please check it out from this QR code if you are interested in it. When we saw him, we were convinced of the potential of human being. Next slide. Next slide, please. It is important to be an option for someone. The myoelectric interface is not a panacea. Myoelectric interface is one option. I think. Please, next slide. The next step for the project, we are looking for the people to join us. We want to increase the number of support and users who can understand the device, and we hope that it will be used beyond the country. Next slide, please. We want many people to be happy using the myoelectric interface. The device we have developed simply turns on a switch. However, combining our devices with other assistive devices can do many things. We want to turn over the future of people who have given up thinking they can't do anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really interesting to see these innovations coming out of all over the world. Now, I promised you some engagement, I promised you some activities, and now we're going to get into that. A lot of the innovations that we've been talking about today come about because of innovation camps and hackathons. Can I just start off and ask, do you guys know what a hackathon is? Have you heard of this? Hands up if you heard of a hackathon and you kind of go, yeah, okay, I got it. Can I get my slides up, please? Thank you. So, hackathons basically work to create new inventions, new solutions to complicated and complex problems. The whole point of it is to bring people together to try to find ways to create those solutions. They work by bringing together teams, ideally diverse teams, that can spend some time working through the problem itself and developing new solutions. And so what we're going to do today is basically a very, very, very small scale version of that. Usually these events last a day, 3 days, a week, 3 weeks. Mine last a whole semester for my students, so they're exhausted by the end of the day. And what I want us to think about is how can we make hackathons inclusive? Now there's basic ideas here around event inclusivity, how we create events that are more inclusive, but I want us to think more critically about the engagement aspect of hackathons. So we're going to start, like we always do, with trying to understand the problem. So I want us to get out of the problem-solving mindset for right now I want us to stay in the problematization mindset. And I want you to think about the impossibilities. So why is it impossible to make an inclusive hackathon? Why is it impossible to have a hackathon that's fully inclusive? This is an individual activity. You'll need maybe your Zero project notebook and a writing utensil. You could also use your computer. And I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. And I want you to come up with at least 30 reasons why hackathons are impossible to be inclusive. 30 reasons in 3 minutes. That's 10 per minute. You get 6 seconds per idea. That means you got to work fast. You got to work creatively. Don't spend a lot of time evaluating your ideas or trying to figure out if they're good or not. Come up with whatever's on the top of your head. And I'm going to challenge our panelists to do the exact same thing. So pen, piece of paper, computer, 30 reasons why it's impossible to create inclusive hackathons. Think big picture, think concrete, anything in between. Think radical, think practical, and anything in between. 30 reasons it's impossible to have an inclusive hackathon in 3 minutes, starting now. I'm going to do it along with you. Got about a minute and a half to come up with 30 reasons that it's impossible to make an inclusive hackathon. Got about 30 seconds to put the finishing touches on your list. If you hit 30, go past. If you hit 30, shoot for 40. All right, that's time. Who got up to 30? Yes, in the back, well done. Give them a round of applause. That's awesome. I love it, I love it. Who got past 30? Did you get past 30? How many did you end up with? No, you got 230. Well done, really well done. I love it. This is just a simple brainstorming activity. I know it might not seem simple because our minds are so molded by our educational systems, which are woefully irrelevant anymore. And so we have to kind of change how we're thinking about the really complex challenges we face. And one way of doing that is to tap into this childlike creativity of invention. If you asked a 5-year-old to come up with 100 different uses for this notebook other than a notebook, they would do it in 10 seconds. Toddlers can do this kind of activity really, really, really well. But something happens between that age and our age that suddenly we stop being able to do this. And this is a good way of starting this sort of work because it automatically gets us out of thinking that there's one solution to the problem, that there's only one problem. So I came up with a few myself. How many had like event venue accessibility? Did anybody have that? Yeah, a few of us did. Great, yeah. That's an easy one to come up with off the top of our head. One of the things Matthijs mentioned was not having the tools. Did anybody have that, like not having the practical tools and abilities? Great. Anybody have something crazy and weird they want to share? Yes, Dan.
Yeah. Products are not made for the hacks are not made for the actual problem. They are made for the self-satisfaction of the people.
Savage. I love it. I love it. Hackathons are not designed for solving a problem. They're designed to make the people feel good about taking on the problem. Well done. Well done. Great. For those of you who are following the live stream, feel free to put your ideas into the chat, and you guys can discuss them there. All right, let's move on to the next exercise. Now we have a whole bunch of reasons why it's not possible to make an inclusive hackathon. Let us flip the script. I want you to take each of those reasons, and I want you to think differently about it. I want you to move into the problem-solving space and finish this phrase for each one. We could have an inclusive hackathon if we blank. So the event venue is a simple one, right? Event venues are inaccessible. We could have an inclusive hackathon if the event venues were accessible, or maybe if architects had a greater understanding of accessible spaces, maybe if we had greater investment in redeveloping our existing spaces. Just provide a solution. It does not have to be something we can snap our fingers and achieve, but just start getting into that solution mindset. So we're taking each of the impossible things, and we're flipping it to trying to see what is possible. So take the impossibility and finish the phrase, we could have an inclusive hackathon if we blank. Is that clear? I'm getting a few nods. Great, we'll give you another 3 minutes. You got about 1 minute left for each of the impossible reasons to come up with a solution. We could if we did what? Take about 30 more seconds, finish coming up with a list of solutions, how we can make the impossible possible. All right, that's the time. How are we feeling? Still alive? Okay, good. Give me some sign of life, please. My goodness gracious. All right, let's hear. What did you come up with? What's your impossible possible? How have you made the impossible possible? Let's hear some examples. Anyone? Yes.
Hi. Well, this is the hardest one that we've ever had. So, which is people with a learning difficulty, including them in an inclusive hackathon, because hackathons kind of thrive on energy and speed, and people with a learning difficulty may not be able to process at the same speed as everyone else. And I must admit, so I run these, and we have a slightly different hackathon for them, because what we found is that it becomes almost impossible for the rest of the people in the room to have the right level of respect for that person when their speed of delivery of ideas and processing is slower.
Yeah.
So in that case, inclusion is kind of done by not including. It's kind of like saying we have two events, one which is fast and one which is slower. But if you can handle that, some of the most amazing ideas we've had from people with a learning difficulty. We just needed to work in the way that they needed us to work.
I believe it, and it's a form of accommodation as well. It's a form of reasonable adjustment, reasonable accommodation, whatever we want to call it. And it brings up a lot of other issues that that were implicit in this, and that's facilitator sensitivity and training in these issues. That's the training and sensitization of the participants. Language sometimes becomes a real problem in these spaces because you'll have teams that come together that may not be using respectful language for talking about different groups of people. And just sensitizing everybody at the outset and saying, this is the language we use when we talk about these issues, helps the teams and the participants get on the same page with that. So we won't belabor this point because we only got a few more minutes, and I want to challenge the
Matthijs
last.
has a point.
Yes.
Matthijs has a point.
Oh, please, Matthijs, go
Can
for
I
it.
add something?
Yes.
I like the slow management, so we could also think of a slow hackathon. And another aspect is to really understand the problem. So don't start too quickly, jump too quickly to the ideation and then the problem solving, but have a deep dive with the people and understanding their situations and their context and analyzing the problems, and only then start creating.
Actually, problem worth solving. The thing is that problem worth solving, because there are hundreds of issues that we may have, but which one is worth solving? We need to be very kind of categoric about that.
Absolutely.
Prioritization also with the people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll be quick,
Chad,
but
yeah, go for it, man.
just I think this dovetails nicely with if my eyesight is good enough, Jonathan. Awesome, I can see. I can see that far. So I think we're often in hackathons and we're trying to solve problems, but the folks that we're solving them for are not in the room. And I think that's a really critical thing. So like I said before, it's about building with and not building for.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, representation matters. All right, we've got 6 minutes. Last challenge, probably the most difficult so far. We're going to get into a little bit of an evaluation. I want you to go through each of your solutions now, and I just want you to tag them with one of these 4 categories. Shouldn't take you too long. Tag them with, is it a lovable solution? Is it something that kind of makes you go, aw, this is perfect, this is going to be wonderful? Is it a feasible solution? Is it something that we could roll out now, next year? Is it something that we could actually achieve? Is it something weird? Is it like, oh, we're going to have to completely revolutionize society? One of my solutions is always to completely burn down the educational system and rebuild it. That's a weird solution, right? It's probably not ever going to happen. But I think we do well to kind of flatten and then rebuild from nothing. Or is it just a far-fetched solution? Is it a moonshot? Is it something that, well, if we had the right people with the right resources, and maybe this is something we could put together in 10, 20, 30, a generation from now? So take each one of your solutions and give it one of these 4 labels. Is it lovable? Aw. Is it feasible? Yes. Is it weird? Huh? Or is it far-fetched? Wow. Cool. We'll give you 2 minutes to do all that. We're going to share, and then I want to collect your answers because I think this is what our shared intelligence can achieve. 2 minutes. All right, folks, that's the 2 minutes. I really appreciate your time and your engagement, but before we leave this room, I need you guys to collect, I need you to help me collect your intelligence. If you can grab this QR code, go to the form. It's a two-item form, and just give us your thoughts. Please, no personally identifiable information, because we did not fulfill our GDPR requirements. This is completely anonymous, so don't put your name on it. Give us your thoughts so that we can take this and move this forward into a clear set of requirements for people who are running these sorts of events. You guys are innovating right now, and we want to make sure we capture that. If you don't want to use the QR code, please just give me your notebook or give me a page from your notebook, and I'll take it and I'll transcribe it and I'll make sure that it gets added to it. So you don't have to use the QR code, but it does make a little bit easier on me. Thank you again for everyone. Thank you to our panelists for being amazing and wonderful human beings, and especially for Chad coming all this way, and Den for coming all this way. Matthijs, you and I didn't have to travel as far because we were just Europe-based. But please give them a round of applause, and give yourselves a round of applause, because you are the ones making it happen today. You are actually the ones engaging in this process. So well done, well done. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Ilana Mushkin. I'm from Israel, and I'm part of the founding team of an organization called hackathon.org. We've been running for 3 years now hackathons that focus on solutions for autism-related challenges. Many of our participants are parents of special children or people on the spectrum themselves, as are our mentors and our judges. After the hackathon, the winning teams continue on to an accelerator that we've developed, and we actually have some startups that have become companies with investment, whatever. We're looking for international partnerships. We have a lot of experience. Our hackathons are inclusive for neurodiverse. We're working on making them inclusive for other challenges as well, and please come, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please connect with her. Den, you had one last thing?
No.
No, okay. All right. Have a great day, people. Thank you so much again.